Good morning, children. Already in the previous class, we learnt about Mrs. Jordan and Nabil, and this is the Dear Departed Part 2. And now let us continue the lesson. Mrs. Jordan, pointing to the bureau, was it the one, father? Abel, that's it. What is doing there? A pause, the clock on the mantelpiece strikes 6. Everyone looks at it. So here we can find out a number of exclamations because everything is surprised by Abel Merriweather. So when Abel Merriweather got down, he was shocked because all his things were lying down, not in the upstairs. And moreover, the clock on the mantelpiece also strikes the time. So he thought that he got annoyed and he thought that something is going on at his house. So drat me means here the drat is interjection, stupid things, and he was surprised. A slight pause. So then he was stopped. Well, I will be hanged. Rising, I will tell you what has been going on in this house, father. Nothing that short of robbery. So Mrs. Jordan said that no need to worry. Nothing is going on, but a little bit of robbery. Robbery means, do you know the thing? They rob the things by force. They take the things. Mrs. Slater, be quiet, Elizabeth. Now we can find out Mrs. Jordan and Mrs. Slater, they quarreled to each other, and Mrs. Slater warned her to be quiet. Mrs. Jordan, I will not be quiet. I call it a double face. Double face means cheating or deceiving. So Mrs. Slater, when she asked Elizabeth to be quiet, she doesn't want to be silent, and she said that it was going to be cheating or double faced. Henry, now, Elizabeth, Mrs. Jordan, and you too. Are you such a poor creature that you must do everything dirty things she tells you? So here now, Mrs. Jordan says, and you too, are you such a poor creature? Poor creature means the foolish person, and you are going to take all these things. And Abel, rising, thumping the table, damn it all. Well, someone tell me what is been going on. So Abel Merriweather wanted to know what was happening, and he banged the table, and he said, damn it all, stop, and what is going on to be here. Mrs. Jordan, yes, I will. I will not see you robbed. Who has been robbing me? And I will ask, here robbing me. Robbing means me. Means here Abel Merriweather is not going to be robbed. But here me refers to the things that Abel Merriweather possesses. Mrs. Jordan, Amelia and Henry, they have stolen your clock and bureau. Working herself up, they sneaked into your room like thieves in the night and stole them after you were dead. So Mrs. Jordan says Amelia and Henry whether they have taken all those things and they sneaked. They entered into the room. Into whose room? Mr. Abel Merriweather's room, and during the night they had stolen all these things, and they thought that you were dead. You refers to whom? You refers to Abel Merriweather. Henry and Mrs. Slater, hush, quiet, Elizabeth. And again, Mrs. Slater and Henry Slater asked them to be quiet. We know, children, that Henry was nothing but he was insulted and teased by his wife, and he is nothing but a rubber stamp or a puppet in the hands of Mrs. Slater. Mrs. Jordan, I will not be stopped after you were dead, I say. So here Mrs. Jordan, she doesn't want to stop. She also too wants to take the property of Mr. Abel Merriweather, and she now says what had happened. Abel, after who was dead? Mrs. Jordan, you Abel, but I am not dead. So Mrs. Jordan said that Abel, you were dead, and then they robbed all those things. Mrs. Jordan, no, but they thought you were. A pause. Abel gazes round at them. So Mrs. Jordan says that no, they really said send the telegram that you were dead, but now they says that you are not dead. A pause. Abel gazes round at them. So now Abel Merriweather looks around all these people. Oh, so that's why you are all in black today. You thought I was dead. Chuckles. That was a big mistake. He sits and resumes his tea. And chuckles means here smiles. So Abel Merriweather, he was surprised. Oh, that is the thing why you all people wore black mourning dress, and everyone thought that he was dead. So looking all these people, he slowly smiled. That was a big mistake. He sits and resumes his tea. So he sat on the table and he started taking the tea. Mrs. Slater, sobbing father, Mrs. Slater started to cry. It didn't take you long to start dividing my things between you. I will tell you what I am going to do. Since your mother died, I have lived a part of the time with you, Amelia, and part with you, Lizzie. Well, I shall make you a new will, leaving all my bits of things to whoever I am living with when I die. How does that strike you? Now, Bill Merriweather, he was very clever, and he understood that his daughters have no concern on him, no affection, and they did not want to take care of him. So, what did he want to do? He wanted to do something, and he wanted to tell to his daughters and son in laws. And here, when his wife was dead, Mary Weather lived some years with Mrs. Slater, and rest of the years he lived with Jordan. And Lizzie, well, I will shall make you a new will. New will means new suggestions or new ideas. And he wanted to do all those things. What are those things? Those things are bureau, clock, golden watch, and what are the things he had. I am living with when I die. How does that strike you? And he asked the question to whom? To Mrs. Slater. So if I do all these things, what will happen? Mrs. Jordan, you know, father, it is quite time you came to live with us again. We had meant you very comfortable. So she says that it is quiet time. So you children underline the word quiet time, enough time, high time. So these are used when the tense says that it is the time is already over. You know, father, it is quiet time, it is already late, and you came. Now let us all will have tea. And she wants to explain what happened what happened that day. No, he has not been with us for as long as he was with you. I may be wrong, but I don't think father will fancy living on with you after what has happened today. So Mrs. Jordan says that father may not feel happy whenever he finds the things happening that day. What things happened that day? That day everyone not showing any sad or mourning towards Abel Merriweather. And Abel wanted to do something. If I have done anything wrong, I am sure I am sorry for it. Mrs. Slater apologized Abel Merriweather, and she says that she would be feel sorry if she had done anything wrong. Mrs. Jordan, and I can't say more than that you. It is a bit of late to say it now. Neither of you cared to put up with me. So now he understood that neither of you means here Mrs. Slater, either Mrs. Slater or Mrs. Jordan, they did not have real concern on grandpa. And now it is very late. He understood the reality, and he had wanted to change some wills. Mrs. Slater and Mrs. Jordan, no, father. Hey, you both said that because of what I have told you about leaving my money Well, since you don't want me, I will go to someone that does. So he says to his daughters that if you don't want me means yes, Abel very weather, if they don't want to take care of Abel very weather, he will do one thing. He wanted to do something, and what is that something? He wanted to leave behind the money to someone else who wants him and who takes care of him. Come, Mr. Merriweather, you have got to live with one of your daughters. So Ben, who is Ben? Ben is a son-in-law, and he requests Merriweather to live with one of your daughters. He can live with either Mrs. Slater or Mrs. Jordan. Okay, children. Now, whenever he comes, he revealed that he wanted to share the money to give the money to someone else. Now their attitude has changed. Okay, children. Now see, this paragraph is really very important. I will tell you what I have got to do. On Monday next, I have got to do three things. I have got to go to the lawyer and alter my will, and I have got to go to the insurance office and pay my premium, and I have got to go to St. Philip's Church. So, in this paragraph, we can understand that Abel Merriweather wanted to do three things. What are those things? On Monday next, the next Monday, he wanted to do three things. What is the thing? First one is he wanted to go to the lawyer and changing his will. Will means here he actually, whenever he paid the insurance, his nominees were his daughters, but now he wanted to change his nominees. And I have got to go to the insurance office and pay my premium. And secondly, he wanted to go to the insurance office and he wanted to claim the premium. And third thing is very important, I have got to go to St. Philip's Church and get married. The third thing is he wanted to get married. So listening this, everyone was shocked because he was now above 70. He was septuagenarian, but at this age, why did he want to get married? And Ben and Henry, what? Mrs. Jordan, get married. He is out of his senses. General consternation. Consternation means a bit of feeling sad or worried. So here all the people were worried when he said that he wanted to go to the Philip's Church and to get married. Abel, I say I am going to get married. Who to? So Mrs. Slater asked to whom he was going to marry. To Mrs. John Shorrocks, who keeps the Ringo bells. We have had it first up fine up to get a good while now, but I was keeping it for a pleasant surprise. He rises. So it was fixed. When Mrs. Slater asked to whom you are going to marry, Abel Merriweather said that he was going to marry Mrs. John Shorrocks, and she is the owner of Ringo Bells. So what is Ringo Bells? Ringo Bells is the restaurant, and he fixed to get married the next Monday. But I was keeping it for a pleasant surprise. I felt I was a bit of burden to you, so I found someone who would think it a pleasure to look after me. So why did he decide to get married? Because he felt that he became the burden to his daughters. So he found already someone who can take care of him. Look after is a phrasal verb, who can take care of him. We shall be very glad to see you at the ceremony. He gets to the door till Monday, then 12 o'clock at St. Philip's Church. So he also invited his daughters and son-in-laws to St. Philip's Church, and he feels very happy of their presence. And the next Monday at 12 o'clock in St. Philip's Church, he was going to marry to whom? To Mrs. Shorrocks. opening the door. It is a good thing you brought that bureau downstairs, states Emilia. I will be handier it carry it across to the Ringo Bells on Monday. So he feels very happy because that bureau they brought to downstairs, and it will be handier. Handier means very easy to carry. It will be very easy to carry across the Ringo Bells on Monday. So this is the end of the Dear Departed. And from this unit, what do we understand? This is really an ironical drama, one act play. Why it is called as an ironical? Because it is a tragedy. So actually when we use the word ironical, when something opposite happens something different happens. Here the title is The Dear Departed. The dear departed. Dear means the lovable ones or lovable things. Departed means separated. And coming to this one act play, Abel Merriweather, Merriweather's things are very dear to whom? Dear to his daughters. But they were departed, they were separated. They thought that they can take all his things, but not happened at the end. So in this way, William Stanley Horton, he explained the middle class old people how they were deserted, by their children, and most of them were sending them to the old age homes, and some people were lying on the road helpless. So in order to bring the moral values, or in order to realize the people about the degradation of the moral values in the whole world, he depicted this drama. So in this way the title is Justified. So children, I think you have understood. So once again, take your textbook and read. Okay children, thank you.